Hey guys, in today's Diablo 4 video, I'm going to share with you my own Sorcerer build. It has both great damage, mobility, and survivability, so I found it to be very helpful overall whether you're fighting dungeons, world bosses, solo, or in a party, or just questing. For the recent betas, I've been able to clear all of the content solo, as well as with up to 4-person scale dungeons, while on Veteran, the highest world tier available to us. We even defeated the world boss on its first spawn with this, so I'm pretty happy with this build. If you don't want to waste any time, you can see the build now on screen with the modifications listed in the text box. But if you want to understand why we have picked these skills, perks, and how they work together, plus the overall way that the build works and plays, then we'll go over everything in a bit more detail and show it off in action in this video. If you know of any other skills, tips, or ideas for a powerful Sorcerer build, then do let me know down in the comments below and we can learn together as a community. And you can support the video by clicking like because it really does help and let YouTube know that we exist. And do subscribe so you don't miss out on all the Diablo 4 content we have coming your way soon. So let's go over an overview of the build. With this build, we take advantage of some of the most powerful skills available to us, such as the Hydra Conjuration and the core skill Chain Lightning. Combining this with skills that complement movement like teleport and its enchantment, we can actually jump through areas of the map very quickly, move through dungeons quite fast, and even survive boss mechanics quite easily. On top of this, we also take advantage of high survivability skills with ice armor as well as deep freeze, so we're never really truly in danger. But also, we get mana regeneration and damage bonuses through these barriers and our basic skill, so we can keep our DPS uptime quite high while spamming our mana. Overall, we have great area of effect damage, but also great single target damage, since Chain Lightning can easily bounce between yourself and a boss, and the Hydra just works for everything. So whether it's a group of enemies or a single target boss, we are still going to be outputting great damage. Now let's go over the skill tree. For our basic skill, you have the choice between Frostbolt or Spark. The primary difference between these choices is that the upgrades for Spark will grant you a stacking buff of up to 10% extra crit chance, which is pretty nice, while the upgrades for Frostbolt will essentially give you mana regeneration on hit when hitting a chilled or frozen foe, which the skill will also apply in of itself. Furthermore, with a legendary perk that can cause frozen enemies to have a chance to become vulnerable when you're hitting them, this further increases your damage output with Frostbolt. I've found the mana regeneration of Frostbolt to be my preference, but Spark is really good too for that extra crit chance, which does synergize quite well with everything else. Whether you choose Frostbolt or Spark, you essentially want to spam them while you are low on mana. With Spark, you want to spam it to keep your buff up on the crit chance, while with Frostbolt, you want to spam it for that extra mana regen. I've gone for 4 points in this and the 2 upgrades, but you can keep it to 1 point if you want to use those points elsewhere. For our core skill, we're going with Chain Lightning as it's our go-to pick. This skill is fantastic for both groups and single target DPS. It fires a bolt of lightning that bounces between 6 targets, which can be further boosted to 8 targets with a legendary perk. However, we can also modify this to gain bonus crit chance per bounce, and either bonus damage when it bounces off yourself, or make each hit have a 25% chance to form a crackling energy. This is a little ball of lightning that will appear on the floor, and you can run over it to gain a charge of AoE lightning that automatically hits enemies near you. I find this mechanic quite fun for a little bit of extra DPS, and our next skill, Teleport, makes them very easy to pick up even in the middle of a group of enemies. But for Chain Lightning, you're going to want to spam this move as much as possible while you have the mana for it. I suggest maxing this out for more DPS and looking for gear that further boosts it above 5. Next up, we have Teleport, and you'll only need 1 point in this, and we'll use this purely for its mobility while both in and out of combat, but also we're going to use it as our enchantment, which will replace our dodge with an additional teleport skill. Because you can actually stack up to 2 dodges, we essentially have 3 back-to-back teleports while it's off cooldown, which really lets you zoom through dungeons. However, you can also use this to zip through walls and rooms very quickly, so it's fantastic for mobility. But next we have the Ice Armor skill, which is essential for a couple of reasons. First, the barrier gives us some nice survivability. However, the upgrade for it also grants us additional mana regeneration while the barrier is active that lets us keep higher uptime on spamming Chain Lightning. Furthermore, there's a legendary perk that gives us a good percentage of bonus damage while the barrier is active, and another legendary perk that leaves ice spikes on the ground to damage and chill enemies while it's active. So overall, the barrier will add to your mana regen, your damage, and your survivability. You generally want to activate this while you're bursting Chain Lightning on enemies. And next is probably the strongest skill that we have, the Hydra. It spawns an immobile turret-like fire Hydra with 4 heads thanks to its first upgrade, which will continuously spit or shoot fire at enemies per head. This skill just outputs a lot of damage and it's very strong, so we've got to include it. However, there is also a legendary perk that's really powerful that lets you summon an additional Hydra so you can have 2 active at once. This is a big damage bonus if you can get it to drop. I suggest maxing this skill out and choosing the perk for bonus crit chance, because remember, our Chain Lightning is going to be critting very often thanks to its perks, so this will be a nice bonus. Finally, for our ultimate, I've chosen Deep Freeze. Although you can swap this out for another skill, I value it quite highly for its additional survivability and health regen. This skill was quite convenient for fighting the world boss, but also when playing in 4-person scale dungeons. I often found myself teleporting ahead of the group to round up enemies, and then I could AoE them down with this while my party caught up. Also, it's a visually awesome skill, but you could always swap this out for Ice Blades, which is another powerful summon skill too that synergizes well with the Hydra as a sort of pet summoning build. But for the extra survivability, I really like Deep Freeze, and I do think it looks pretty cool too. So if you want to see a bit of the build in action for yourself, I'll leave some of the gameplay to play out. But do let me know if you have any sorcerer tips or suggestions in the comments down below, and we can all learn together. So here's some gameplay. Thank you for watching, and the 2 videos on screen now we think you'll really enjoy if you did enjoy this one. Of course you don't have to if you don't want to, but if you found this video interesting or helpful, you're probably going to enjoy these ones too. And then tell us what you think after watching in the comments down below.